Today, we have a tier list for you guys talking about the different things that women find attractive. So, on our list, we have at the bottom things that are not important, meaning it might be good for other aspects of life, but it's not really important when it comes to attracting girls. Then above that, we have the mid tier, meaning it's not really useless, but it's not going to really make or break your attractiveness to women. Above that, we have the good to have section where it's definitely a good thing to have. If that's something that you can improve and acquire it, then that'll definitely help you attracting girls, but it's not exactly a nuclear bomb of attraction, and also not having it isn't going to totally wreck your ability to attract women. Above that, we have the very important category where if you have it, you're going to have a pretty easy time attracting girls, and these are definitely things that, if possible, I mean, some things you can't necessarily get, like things that are related to your genetics, but if you can improve to the level of getting this, then it's probably worthwhile. And then finally above that, we have the pull anyone tier, and what makes this tier unique is that having it would really help you if you have deficiencies in other areas. If you have something in the pull anyone tier, then you can probably be losing some points in other areas and still make up for it with this. So starting off, we have height. What do I want to put height under? I think I'm going to put height under very important. I could put it under good to have. I know some people think it could be under pull anyone. Let me put it to you like this. For some girls, being a certain height is a requirement, but just being a certain height isn't necessarily gonna finish the job for you. You still need other things, which is why I'm not putting it under pull anyone. It is, however, very important, obviously, especially on dating apps, and just some girls have in their head that it's really important for a guy to be tall, and you can define tall however you want. I guess it's relative to every girl, and different places have different standards. I would put it under pull anyone, honestly, but here's the thing. Especially if you're in like nightlife and stuff, I notice that a lot of the guys that are there are already tall. So just because you're tall, unless if you're like 6'5" or something crazy like that, that's not really going to be enough to get a girl's attention. It's more just that you're not going to be ignored, if that makes sense. Moving on, we have face. And I know it's kind of a cliche. I don't really consider myself a black pill or anything. I kind of want to put it under pull anyone. I would put it under very important, just like height. But I just feel like you can be tall and ugly and pull less than a guy who's, I wouldn't say short, but let's say average height with like an insane face card or whatever. I'm going to put that under pull anyone. Keep in mind that I guess like girls are going to be attracted to different features. So there's not necessarily like one way that a face would look. Like you can look like a Chad, like that guy. But like if a girl likes guys with facial hair or guys of a different race or something, that guy's not going to pull them. So, but in general, like let's face it, face is pretty important. So get on that looks maxing, guys. Next, we have money. Now, keep in mind, this is not about like what's important in life. This is just about pulling girls. And I'm actually going to put it under mid. In fact, I'm tempted to put it under not important. And here's why. Money itself as being something that girls are attracted to. A girl definitely wants to know that you're well off and successful. But, she's not going to like pass up on a guy with $5 million and is tall and jacked. Because another guy has like, $10 million. That's not really how money works. So I wouldn't think of money. Obviously you want to have it for your own sake, but do not use it as like a means to attract girls itself, because it's just going to attract the wrong kind of girls, gold diggers, etc. What I would look at it as, besides its own use in the world, is kind of using it as a tool to maybe get access to, for an example, like if you have enough money, to go out every weekend or to go to certain parties or clubs, then that's using money. Or using money to get a yacht and throwing a party with your friends on a yacht. That's how money is beneficial. And if you looked at it in that way, like, I would put it up there, but that's not what we're discussing. We're talking about the actual attribute itself. So because of that, I'm putting it at mid, because I'm sure a girl would like, for you to have money. But like, dude, like, if a chick like cares that much about like what's in your bank account, I mean, bro, like, at that point, that's like gold digging. Fuck that shit. Okay, next. I mean, I know this is the Instagram logo, but we're going to talk about your social media presence. I mean, I'm biased because I have a lot of videos on my channel about building an attractive social media. But I think if you're a young guy in high school or in college, and especially if you're in like the US or North America, then I would say honestly that having a good social media is very important in attracting girls. Now, this is probably less important in attracting certain types of girls, definitely more wholesome girls, girls that are not, dumbasses. Like, I'm sure they can see past social media and shit. But if you're like under 25 and or maybe even under 23 for sure, like, high school, college age, I would say that having good social media is very important. Because, and not so much even having like the greatest social media, but not having a bad social media. Because if you have like a really bad social media, then that can say some things about you, even if it's not true. Like, for the longest time, I had a pretty bad social media. And even though, I'm tall, decent face, etc., girls in that, like, 18 to 23 age group are really like fixated on like social status, being with it, being like quote unquote cool or popular or whatever. So if you can at least show that you're like not unpopular and not uncool on social media, then that'll like you'll be in a good place and you don't have to worry so much about having an amazing social media. If you want more information on building an attractive social media, particularly Instagram, I have tons of videos on this channel. I also have a free community linked in the description where I have like a more robust guide link there. And I also, it's a place where you can discuss Instagram maxing with other guys that are into it. Next up, I guess this isn't obvious, but this is aura. I think aura, look, by aura, I'm going to define that as kind of like your vibe, your confidence, your ability to seem calm in any environment, things like that. You could say nonchalant, but not necessarily that. I would say that aura, I would put it under pull anyone. I mean, like, that's like, I'm sure like a lot of people would love for me to say that. Like, that's not the case, obviously. But I do think having a good aura is between very important and good to have. I think if you have like a negative aura, that can really like put off guys and girls. People just won't want to be around you, and that'll kind of trickle into like, your social status and things like that. You might have a hard time having people hang out with you. But if you look decent, if everything's decent, but you have like a really magnetic aura, and again, not to sound like, astrology girl or anything, I think that can go a long way in being attractive. Next up, we have cool hobbies. By cool hobbies, I mean everyone has like a hobby, obviously, but like cool hobbies meaning like something that girls would find interesting. Like, here I have skiing linked, but any sort of like whatever sport is cool in your area. If a girl's into the outdoors and she sees that you're into the outdoors, and she would find that attractive, things like that. I'm going to put that under good to have. Now, again, like, same with money, like, you definitely want to have hobbies in its own right. And this list is just talking about like what girls generally find attractive. So because of that, I would say that, like, I would put it higher, but let's face it, there's a bunch of like dumbass guys that don't have any hobbies at all. But, due to either their social status or their looks or whatever, they do just fine with girls. So I would put hobbies as good to have. It's one thing to be just a short guy, but if you're like a short guy with hobbies, and that gives you another thing to connect with someone about, things like that. So I wouldn't overrate it, but I mean it's not useless either. Again, like things that show that you have a good personality and like unique interests are great. Next up, we have social status. I'm gonna put social status honestly at pull anyone. Like I hate to say it, but I'm not saying be like the mayor of your city or anything. Like he's gonna pull like crazy, but like again, especially in that whole like 18 to like early 20s age group, and even after. But like especially in like a college environment, for an example, like status can really like make up for a lot of shit. And that's why it's in this pull anyone tier, because these are things that really pull above their weight in terms of their impact on girls' attraction. Look at frat guys. Like there's a bunch of short frat guys. There's a bunch of frat guys with like a kind of shitty aura, no hobbies. I guess you need some money usually to pay dues and shit. But, not doing great in any of them. But, if you're in the right house, if you have the right friends, and it's connected to Instagram because this is how it's communicated usually. But, if you appear to be high status, a lot of girls are just wired to be into that. And again, like I know how it is to not really want to fit into that whole thing. I'm just kind of saying how it is, and then you can kind of maneuver around this as you will. Similar to status, we have pre-selection. I'm very tempted to put it at pull anyone. I mean, I don't really want it to be like the kind of thing. I don't want to devalue the whole pull anyone tier. But, I mean, I just want to clarify when I talk about pre-selection, like, there are certain people on YouTube who talk about like showing pre-selection on Instagram and like taking pictures with girls, and it looks like super forced, and like, bro, no one's falling for that. That isn't what I'm talking about. But if you have like legitimate pre-selection, that is pull anyone tier, and it is quite connected to social status. Like a lot of it's kind of like an upward spiral once you have one of these, like one of these or a bunch of these. It can be an upward spiral. But yeah, I think having pre-selection is pretty important, and it is pretty fucked up, I know, but that's kind of the way it is. So, I mean, guys, even if you have like female friends and, you're not like doing anything, you're just friends, nothing more than that. I mean, still consider the fact that like them hanging out with you, as long as like it's not obvious that you're like their bitch or something, that can be a positive thing. It shows that you're kind of normal. It might be ambiguous if you go out with them. People don't know, like, are you dating them or whatever. So pre-selection is pretty insane. And again, it's like there's different levels to it. So it's like, yeah, having like a female friend is like a level of pre-selection. People won't think you're like, they'll think you're normal, or like it'll like guarantee that you're not a serial killer or whatever, or at least people would think so. But that's not the same as the level of pre-selection you would have if you like dated like the hottest girl at your college, and it ended on your terms. That's insane level of pre-selection, and that'll do you very well. Next up, we have humor. And I consider myself a funny guy, but all my advice is like based off of my observations, both of myself and others. And I'm gonna put it at good to have, honestly. Like, I wish it would be higher. I do think like, and again, good to have is a good rating. Like, it's like if you're funny, that's good. It can only help you as long as it's not like over the top or self-deprecating. I mean, you can be funny and also like a girl might not find you attractive in other areas, and that, I mean, for some girls it might bring it up, but like in my experience, it doesn't always bring it up, which is why I'm not putting it at very important, because there's a lot of like pretty unfunny guys that pull, I'm sorry to say. And all, I mean, I think like, yeah, pull anyone, like, I mean, that's kind of a reach, like maybe like in, in like the 50s, like Don Rickles or whatever. I don't know how he pulled, but I don't think nowadays it's realistic to really put it higher than good to have. But it's definitely not mid. Like I think it does go a long way, and it's definitely not irrelevant. But it can be like a bone. It can be like a what is it called? Like a bonus modifier or whatever. So it's like if your score is 5, it'll like multiply it by a little bit. But like if your score is 0 and you're funny, like if your SMV is 0 and you're funny, like realistically, like unless if a girl's really into humor, it's not gonna like do what you think it does necessarily. Not to be discouraging. I'm just it is what it is. Alright, next up we have muscles. Now I think this could definitely go in between, like kind of very important and good to have. I'm gonna put it at good to have because again, like I have to be realistic, and I'm someone who's super into the gym. But just look at real life. Like there's a lot of guys that don't go to the gym, but have social status, maybe have a good face, maybe they have a good, chat Instagram or like a strong aura. And, they don't really go to the gym. They're fucking skinny, dude. Like, and they do just fine. They'll pull 10 times more than like a gym cell that doesn't have any sort of, any of these. So yeah, I'm putting that at good to have. I would say very important. I think like if you have a deficit in like one area, like you're not like horrible off, but if there's one area that you really feel is holding you back, then going to the gym and being jacked can kind of make up for that. I definitely think everyone should go to the gym for their own right. Again, like it's the same like money, like bro, like just cause it's not higher up on the list as far as attracting girls doesn't mean it's not important in its own right, and doesn't mean it can't lead to like making friends at the gym, and then you have a level of social status, or looking jacked and you can put that on Instagram and get more likes, things like that. And it definitely, dude, if you're short, like go to the gym. Don't like take steroids or anything, especially, dude, if you're short, then you're gonna like look bigger in a shorter amount of time than a tall guy would in most cases. Next up we have game. So game pickup artist, here's a picture of mystery. I'm not necessarily talking about like formal pickup artistry. I just mean game as in like your ability to like maneuver like conversations and shit, both like up front talking to a girl, and then kind of like long term, like not over texting a girl over time, not doing anything super cringy in a relationship. I'm gonna put it very important. I mean, pickup artists would tell you it's pull anyone, but I think there is kind of like, it can really help you. Again, it's kind of like being funny, like it's a modifier, but just having good game and nothing else, like maybe it worked before, but I don't think nowadays when, like if you go out, dude, like not to be negative, and again, maybe this isn't the case everywhere, but at least like if you go out in like good areas, like all the guys lift, not all the guys lift, but all the guys are in shape, all the guys are tall, all the guys are, aware of this kind of dynamic. And a lot of guys have game, even if they didn't learn it like formally from YouTube videos or shit like that. Even worse for you, bro, they have actual practice just over time with girls, and subconsciously they know what works and what doesn't. So because of that, I'm gonna put it at very important. You don't want to have like bad game, because that can really fuck you up, even if you're like tall, attractive, etc. If you make like big mistakes with game, then that can ruin you. That said, I think it's like relative to like your level with your like attractiveness, with the rest of your attractiveness level. So it's like the more attractive you are, the less game you need, but you still need some. Like the more you can get away with. Like you can get away with like making some mistakes, but there's still a limit. So because of that, I'm putting game at very important. It's not gonna make you, but it can, like, not having it can break you, but just having it isn't necessarily gonna make you, but it can, you know, like, kind of jump you up a few points. Next, this is kind of like, I mean, it's cringe, but like low key, like how alpha you are with like other guys and shit. I'm gonna put it honestly, like, again, this is just as far as like attracting girls. I mean, it's hard because I think it's cultural and it depends on like the girl herself. Like, I think like in Eastern Europe, bro, like this is all that matters. But like in other countries, in like the US or something, like it's not important. Like, I think a girl doesn't want to be like, see you be pushed around. And I wouldn't even say it's good to have. I mean, I want to put it very important. I think like I'd say it's like somewhere in between like very important and good to have. Okay, I'm gonna put it at good to have because I think like as long as you can like stand up for yourself, that's really like, it's kind of like the same with like game. Like, as long as you don't like, if you have enough game not to like fuck up, then, and you're attractive, then you're fine. And I think if you're generally attractive and you're like alpha enough to not like to stand up for yourself or not get picked on by other guys, then you're fine. Like, you don't have to go and fucking like like if you go around the bar like one of those guys like fighting people and shit, and that might be like, to you that might be alpha, but like to her, you're just gonna look like a spaz. So I'm gonna put it good to have because it's like you want to like have like enough that you're not like gonna get pushed around, but you don't want to be a total like it's not, you just go around fighting people, bro. Like, kind of like money, like that's gonna attract the, like, you're better off like trust me, dude, you're better off you're better off being an incel than being like in jail because your girlfriend like got you to pick a fight with someone. So if a girl's like super into that, then she's kind of fucked in the head. So just, you know, good to have, good to stand up for yourself. It's good maybe if you intimidate someone when necessary, that's good, but you don't want to become like some like, you know, bald bloat max guy that fights people at the club. And finally, we have intelligence, and I hate to say it, but as far as it actually like attracting girls in and of itself, I'm gonna have to put it at mid tier. Why do I say that? I think, again, like money, like going to the gym, it's important in its own right. And I mean, if you're not intelligent, then you're not going to really be able to self-improve. You're not going to be able to like run game, things like that. But, you know, there's a whole nerd stereotype for a reason. So I wouldn't just like rest on your laurels if you're intelligent and just assume that that's going to attract a girl. Just keep in mind, a lot of girls might not be that intelligent, and it takes an intelligent person to know one, you know? So they might not be able to, even if you're right, yeah, I should be attracting girls just because I'm smart. Fine, maybe you should, but you know, like, if people aren't intelligent enough to understand your intelligence, and it's not even girls, just people in general, you know, you're gonna have a hard time. So if you're intelligent, and you know, I consider myself intelligent, especially growing up, that was something that I valued pretty highly in myself. Use that intelligence to improve in all of these other aspects. You know, find ways to improve your game and study it. Find ways, if you're intelligent, hop on my community and analyze the different ways to improve your Instagram and look like you have higher status, or think of smart ways to look pre-selected in certain environments, even though you're not really up here. Use your intelligence to improve, but don't just assume that just because you're smart, girls are going to flock to you. Anyway, guys, that's all. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And if you're at all interested in improving your Instagram, I have the course linked in the description. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.